We have the 70th anniversary of Brown v. Board, and then the 25th anniversary of Columbine. And I've particularly been thinking about how school safety policies and school integration policies have failed Black folks largely. And what are y'all thinking as we go into 2024? Do you think that these anniversaries offer inflection points for us to expand this conversation around desegregation and school integration and the policy recommendations that come behind both of them?
I'm going to be super brief here. I haven't been brief yet. I don't know. I think this is where we have to get honest with ourselves, right? I've been thinking a lot about how so much of policy in this country, particularly around race and access, it involves a certain level of gaslighting, right? We're pretending that things aren't as they are. We're pretending that what's happening isn't happening. And we're making policy that comes out of nowhere and is based on something that isn't reality, right? So in terms of your point about a watershed sort of moment and what 2024 can look like, I mean, in order to move the needle on either of these things you just mentioned, school segregation and school safety, we have to stop pretending like what is happening isn't happening. We have to stop pretending. And I don't know that as a country we're ready to stop pretending about a whole bunch of things yet. So that's where I will leave it and turn it over to the professor.
No, I agree. I wish that we could face hard truths and tell hard truths and come to better solutions. Instead, every couple of years, we have kind neighbors who say to us, like, "This isn't the America that I knew," and I'm like, "Well, which one did you know? Where were you at? This one's been pretty consistent, right?" With that being said, we're coming up on the 70th anniversary. I want to tell you, this is and I'm going to be brief. After the 60th anniversary, a couple years ago, I was invited by a friend who's a teacher in the Bronx to visit her class. And she said, you study schools, you study race, you study opportunity. Can you come talk to my kids about the Brown decision? And it was during Black History Month, so I gladly obliged. And I went into this classroom in New York City Public School in the Bronx, high concentrations of immigrant students, high concentrations of Black students and Brown students. And I talked about the Brown decision. And then I got to the question and answer. And I think it was about second grade. And one of the students raised their hand and they were like, "Mister, I have a question." I was like, "Sure. What's the question?" And the child was like, "I thought you told me we won the Brown case. I thought you said schools can't be segregated." And then she just motioned to the room. There wasn't a white face in the room. And it was at that moment where I was like, "Ooh," right? I'm a sociologist. And let me be clear, I'm throwing stones in a glass house. Half of our career and 3/4 of it is made in documenting inequality. I know folks who are working on their 70th anniversary papers on segregation right now. But if we document it and we document it and we document it and do nothing about it, what are we doing? It only becomes a watershed moment if we are actually moved to action and really pull in folks who haven't been central to the conversation and offer a different set of challenges and solutions than what we have before. So for me, the potential exists, but only if everyone, the folks who may be in this webinar, the folks who are in communities really say, who's been missing from this conversation? And what am I willing to give up? Sometimes it's giving up your frame. You thought this was a solution. This was the only way. Sometimes it's giving up your control of the room and the dialogue. But there has to be something that is given up. There have to be different voices, and we have to push in a different way. Or else the anniversary of Brown will be like the anniversary of Columbine, and we'll find ourselves 20 years down the line looking at more militarized schools that are more harmful to children and more segregation, and we'll have more commemorative reports.